Check this out. So I did a thing. I bought 14-foot aluminum ramps. So now we got to make them fit. So they technically fit on the trailer because the trailer's 18 feet, but they don't exactly attach. We got to figure that out. Now they have this big, this is the front of the ramp, not the rear, so that's kind of like how they actually go. The front's up there. So they're designed to hook. This is like a whole hook area. This is all one piece, which is pretty cool. And I just looked, and I've got a bunch of 1 5/8 chromoly tubing from doing the cage. 1 5/8 fits real nicely right here. So our plan, which we haven't done it yet, we're going to remove these ramps and the little doors and the metal that's welded to the, just take all that off. And then we're going to weld our tube. We're going to build some standoffs and just have a tube that goes across here. It'll be spaced a little bit, and it'll be lowered a little bit, such that the new ramps, when they come in like this and they hook like that, the top of the ramp will be flush with this. That'll be the goal. So we'll do our measurements and stuff to figure out where to put the center line of that tube, and it'll just have some plates that stick out to space it to get that distance close enough. Anyway, that's actually pretty simple. So that gets our attachment, and what's cool is because it's hooked like that, like a this, it can rotate. So if the ground's higher or lower, or if the trailer, you know, if I raise or lower the nose, it'll pivot on that, so no issues there. Sweet, that's actually easy. And I don't have to modify the ramps, not on this end. This end's another story. So I actually went outside. This hook will actually catch this. It actually does catch. I don't really like it, and that's why we're gonna, but so the other problem is it does catch, but you can imagine with it sitting here, there's a huge step right there. So when you're backing the car up, your tire would be rolling like this, and they would have to go up like that to get on the ramp, which I don't like. I want it to be nice and smooth so nothing catches. So anyway, and I just don't want a big bump there. That's pointless. And it's only hooking, this is only like a 1/4 inch thick. It's not much of a hook. So, and there's weld beads that it can hit that cause it to not sit properly. Anyway, we're gonna fix that. But the other problem is this: when you put this on the ground, these ramps, this distance is 3 1/4 plus this number, so it's probably like 3 1/2 inches tall. And there's actually a weld bead poking down here, so it's actually more than 3 1/2 inches when it's touching the ground. Well, the problem is we only got 3 1/2 inches. That's all we got. From the ground to this is like 3.75 or something. It ain't a lot. So that's not going to work either. Now, we knew that, no big deal. Well, hopefully no big deal. There's kind of two options. Number one, knife edge that. So just feather that out. We'll have to cut a big chunk out. That'll be fun to cut because it's aluminum. I have to think about that. So that kind of sucks, but that's one option, is knife edge them. Another option is to cut this little piece off right here. Just kind of saw cut that, and then build something that does the last 3 inches of ramp. So it'd have to attach to these ramps, whether it's permanent or whatever. I might do that because then I don't have to modify these giant things. I mean, I cut that piece off, but I'm not that worried about that. We'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Anyway, I'll bring you guys back when we make some progress. Alright, let me show you what we're thinking. So this is just sitting on the fender right now. But I think we're going to build some mounts that hold it basically right where it's at and just lift it up a bit so they don't touch the fenders. Now, the where it's at is roughly where it goes other than lifting it up a bit. Here's why. So we've got, generally speaking, we're going to have this at the end of the trailer. This part's going to get cut off, so more or less that's the end of the trailer. There's benefits. So when the car's on the trailer, only thing I have to do back here is like put straps on, which these don't get in the way. But at the front, I might load the whole front of the trailer with stuff in the future. Generators, air compressors, toolboxes, fuel cans, spare tires, God knows what. So by pushing these ramps as far back as possible, that gives us as much access as possible to the front. So we got like probably a good 4 feet of room right here, you know, where we can still access the trailer even with the ramps on. So I think that's a good idea. Now it does block our step. That's kind of lame. But frankly, these are 14-foot ramps. There's nowhere on this trailer that those fit, that they're not going to block something. And if I put them here, the actual part where the car goes is totally unobstructed. We could almost slide these under the car when the trailer's on the car, which actually sounds perfect. But the problem is if we ever like damage the car, wreck the car, flat tire, anything like that, and the car sits lower than it normally does, now that doesn't work, which that could be a huge issue, because then where do you put them? So anyway, that's why we're going to mount them on the sides. It'll block the view of the car. That's probably not that big of a deal. Now you're not going to be able to open the doors with the trailer ramps there, but that shouldn't be an issue. I hope not. Maybe I need to rethink that, but generally if you're going to get in the car to drive it off the trailer, you got to put the ramps down so that when you get in the car you can back it off. So I think that's okay. And then getting on the trailer, same thing, you know, the ramps will be out of the way. You'll drive up on the trailer, get out of the car, and then you can put the ramps in place. Should be good. We'll get to let me jump back to the ramps in a second, but hey, we finally got our battery. So this is a Walmart, it's actually a Marine battery, but the reason I bought it, sometimes Marine ones seem like they're better, but it also has these little posts that I can put eye terminals on, so I don't have to deal with these. That's another reason. Also, when I'm filming this, it's May. This had a May of 24 date code, so I was like, all right, cool, got a nice fresh battery, and it was cheap. Holy crap, AutoZone was like $200 for a battery. This thing was like 80 or something. I think it was 80 bucks. So thumbs up for Walmart on that one. And we got a battery box, so we're just going to stick it like probably in this area. We got to figure that out, but that's working. That won't be long and we'll have a functioning winch. So let's jump back to here. I'll show you how we're gonna, let's see, let me move this into position. Okay, so this is roughly where the ramps are gonna go, but I've got them lifted roughly 3 inches high, as you can see. The reason I did that was I want to knife edge the other end of the trailer ramp. So what I did was I'm gonna cut this end of the trailer ramp is going to drop 3 inches when I knife edge it, so I raise this 3 inches so that it doesn't change the angle. And so if you raise this end 3 inches, and then I cut 3 inches off of that, and I lower both 3 inches, it maintains the same angle. That knife edge will touch the ground perfectly, and then this will be level with the trailer, so there's no bump there. So let me show you this part. So this is going to be fun to fabricate, but see that line? If I get the camera down here, maybe that shows up. But that is a straight line that's 3 inches above the concrete. It's also like 2 feet long, hell of a ramp. But all we did was grab a square and tape a Sharpie to it, like this. Stand that up and drag it across the ground. So easy enough. Got one on this side. We don't have one on the inside yet. We'll have to figure that out. But yeah, we're going to figure out a way to knife edge that. It's actually necessary. You know, you look at these ramps and you're like, wow, they're so long. How could that be an issue? But these are 3 1/4 inches tall. So even with these ridiculous ramps, if the tire was right here, it kind of works. There's maybe enough clearance right there, but if you ever got over here, it could still catch. So also there's a giant bump if you don't knife edge it. So I think we're going to knife edge it. I guess in theory, I had to think about it. Could I not knife edge it? I guess I could, in theory, I could not knife edge it, build my mounts, test it out, see if it works, and then knife edge it afterwards if I really wanted to. Maybe I'll consider that. So one benefit to these ramps that I hadn't thought of until recently, and this is a big deal. So here's a comparison. Notice on the right, this ramp is 15 inches wide. These are like 22.5 inches wide. So the stock ramps are way wider, but the reason is because I can't adjust these. They're just there. So, you know, if you got a narrow car, you're on this part. If you got a big truck, maybe you're over here. But with these ramps, I'm designing a mount where I'll be able to move these around. So what we're going to do, so this makes sense. Here's a piece of 1.5". This is what we use for our roll cage. 1.5" tubing, chromoly. This actually works. I'll show you. Maybe. Like this. So this actually hooks really nice. So our plan is that tube is going to be like, let me move this. Here's an example. So this tube, this ain't exactly it. This is just a scrap piece. But this will generally be in this area in just the right height and position and spacing, and it'll have brackets on either end that support it so that I can hook my ramps, and then, you know, they'll be perfectly like flush with this. So let me show you that design real quick. So this is what we're looking at. We just threw this in CAD with some dimensions, but this should work. So this is just 3/8 thick steel. It's got a hole that's 10 thou bigger than the chromoly, so it should slide in there pretty snug, but enough clearance it'll go, and then we can weld it. That's about it. This part here, I got the dimensions to where if you put this top surface flush with the trailer, the tube height is set that when you put the ramps on, the ramps will be flush with this, so everything kind of lines up. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to get these made at Send Cut Send, at least for now, and I'm going to build an extra set and throw them on the site, see if anybody else needs these. But yeah, that's how we're going to do these mounts. Should be pretty straightforward. We'll basically buy these, cut our tube to length, and we can actually assemble the tube to the mounts outside of the trailer, get everything square, tack it up, fully weld it, then take that assembly over to the trailer, and then basically just grind the paint off and weld this to the trailer. So it should be pretty straightforward to install, which is nice. And if we ever want to go back to the old ramps, you know, you could always put those back on, but I don't anticipate using those after building these. Okay, so the last thing I'll mention, so the ramps, the way we're going to hold these, I have an idea. So this is 3 inches wide and however long, I don't know. But I got to buy some more of this, but I actually have some 3-inch steel box tubing, and I'll show you what we're talking about. I'm just going to do like this. Push it up against here, weld it on like that. So this is like the perfect width. So if I do this right, say this is upside down, of course, but I would basically weld like a piece that goes here and another piece on this side, and it'll up when you flip it, it'll be like this. So the trailer ramps will have like a landing like this that it goes in, and once they're in, I'll probably have some pins or a bolt or a locking mechanism or something that like positively stops them so they can't just like bounce up out of there. But when you remove the locking mechanism, then you can just lift them out. So to make installing the ramps like back on the trailer should be pretty straightforward. You'll just have like 2 of these posts, which is simple, some U-shaped brackets, and like I said, probably some what I may do is like cotter pins or safety pins, something like that, just to where it's like, hey, once these are installed, there's no way they're gonna bounce out. And then maybe separate from that, I'll have like a lock, a chain, some other means of like, you know, for security, not for retention, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think we're gonna do that. And with them outside the trailer, they are kind of awkward. These things weigh 96 pounds each, so they are heavy, and being 14 foot long, they're awkward. Nothing I can do about that, but anyway, we'll manage. But yeah, that's our plan. We're gonna basically get all this stuff designed, the box tube, the little U-mounts, which maybe I don't know, hopefully that all turns out simple. But we're just gonna go ahead and design what we can and order all the material. Hopefully everything will be cut already, like to shot, to size, to length. Basically do all that now, because I can do modeling and stuff and create a CAD file in 5 or 10 minutes. That's easy stuff. So it's actually faster to do that and then order it, and then when it gets here, it just works. I don't have to go out here and, you know, I do fabrication. You guys have seen I've fabricated at least 5 different parts on this car. But if I can order it and it just shows up already cut to size, it's usually going to be better quality. It's faster. So essentially, this will like for example, if I order these brackets, you know, it's going to take like, Send Cut Send's been kind of slow lately. I wish they used to be fast. I guess they got popular and now they're slow. I used to could order stuff and get it in like a few days. Now it takes a week or week and actually a week is probably fast for them now. It's probably more like 2 weeks to get something, and that really sucks. I may end up going to the track one more time with these ramps, or maybe I can just kind of like manage with these the way they are until the stuff comes in. I don't know, but I want to do it this way because I won't spend a ton of time. Like for example, those brackets I showed you, I would have to cut those to shape with like, all I've got is like a portaband. I mean, I got a plasma cutter, but it's nasty. So if I was making these, I would probably use my portaband, which is over here. And that's going to take a while to cut, and then I got to cut an 1 5/8 hole, which I have a hole saw, but still, cutting through plate, you know, that's nasty stuff. I don't have a drill press. I'm going to be doing that by hand, and I'd have to do 4 of them, you know. Or I can just order it online. It'd be way better that way, and more precise too. And if I ever want to sell these, I don't have to fab every one. I can, you know, design it, make sure it works, and then order the stuff and do the welding. Like, welding's not that bad for me, so I'd rather do that. I'm better set up for that than I am working with heavy steels. anyway, that's enough of that. That's going to be our trailer update. I'll probably next video I'll have all this stuff and I'll show you getting it all put together. Anyway, if you guys have some ideas or any other mods you want to see on the trailer or you think I should do, please let me know. Because right now we're doing the ramps. We're going to get our battery set up, so we'll have the winch operational, and then I'm wondering if my order is going to get canceled. I actually ordered a bigger generator. This is a 2 kilowatt. I ordered a 4 kilowatt, but it hasn't shipped yet. I'm getting worried that I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it shows up, but it hasn't even shipped, and I ordered it like 5 days ago. But I'd like to have a spot to put this on the trailer, and then my air compressor, same thing. So ideally, I would like both of those up in the front of the trailer with some kind of shielding so they don't like get rained on, and then they're like permanently attached to the trailer. Or at least attached in a way that, normally they're just there unless like I really need to, I could unbolt it or something. But yeah, basically I'd like all this stuff to just sit here so I can go park the trailer. Nobody can steal it. It's not going to disappear. It's not going to fall off, hitting bumps and stuff going down the highway. So anyway, you guys got some ideas of how to best implement that, let me know. Or like I said, if you see anything else I'm missing, let me know and maybe we'll get it put on here. Alright, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm going to get back to work, and until next time, y'all take it easy.